All right, Rob. Deshaun Watson. Now the trade deadline. Rob G, hop in here. Trade deadline is what? November 2nd?
November 2nd.
Yeah, so it's heated up about Deshaun Watson. There's all types of reports. There's reports that he's likely to get traded. There are refutations of those reports, Rob G. I mean, give us the latest on what is going on with Deshaun Watson, according to reports.
Well, we heard last week John McClain from the Houston Chronicles say that he had heard that it was very possible that Deshaun Watson would get traded within the week to Miami. That week will be up here in about 2 days. And, Miami just lost again. I think it was their 6th straight loss. So the drumbeat in Miami is going strong with Deshaun Watson. However, the Carolina Panthers, who started out 3-0, have since lost 4 straight. Sam Darnold just got benched on Sunday. And now there's reports.
Cost me $700.
Cost Rob Parker $700 to make things even worse.
Oh, my gosh.
But the Athletic reported.
I know his car is jacked up. You got a Louis Vuitton on one side and just plain Jane on the other.
That's why you should fade all the Shekel City picks if you get a chance there.
Man.
But, Sam Darnold got benched. He's been a turnover machine as he was with the Jets. And it's just kind of showing up here in Carolina.
Man, he's looking.
And now the Athletic and ESPN are reporting that the Carolina Panthers would like to get involved in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. So far, according to reports, only the Dolphins have actually made an offer as of yet. But it looks like both teams, because neither one really has incentive to lose at this point in the season. Miami because they don't have their first round pick. Carolina because they also gave up picks for Sam Darnold. So they don't want to, continue to give up picks. They both are looking like they're interested in getting Deshaun Watson.
Rob, where are you? I mean, look, who was it? I can't remember who we had on last week that was just like, and I've seen other guys say this on television, other analysts, like, are these teams crazy?
Right.
I mean, we all get Deshaun Watson's talent. Who was it, Rob G?
That was Trey Wingo who said that on Friday.
Trey Wingo, right. And Deshaun Watson is a bad boy when it comes to being quarterback. No doubt about it. But he may never play again.
We really
and I don't know, Rob.
Yeah,
right. It's not like you can just go to the NFL and say, what do you guys think? I mean, I guess the NFL they are doing some investigating, so they may know something, but this has to go through the courts unless he settles. But it is just risky business to trade for him. But I'll say this, just looking at it from a football standpoint, Rob, and I know you've liked Darnold. I haven't been really down on him, but if I'm them, just strictly from a football standpoint, oh yeah, you better believe I'd rather have Deshaun Watson.
Oh no, there's no doubt. I mean, they got off to a good start. Chrissy wasn't turning the ball over, and all of a sudden, the floodgates. They had that really good game. What was the game they came back and then they lost? The game before this.
Yeah, but he has struggled without Christian McCaffrey.
Right, and that's the other part. Is it totally fair when you don't have a big part of your offense and that guy? Is it? No, I'm not trying to make an excuse, not at all. But I'm just saying.
It sounds like it.
No, I'm just asking. But when you're missing stuff, you got to take a look at it because he got off to a better start. But anyway, the bottom line is
maybe he's a game manager.
You got to produce. You got to produce. And if you don't produce, Chris.
Right. To your point, though, maybe he could be a game manager.
Might be. Yeah.
He's not going to carry you. The thing is, a big part of his problem is decision making. And that goes all the way back to USC. People kind of romanticize like, oh, he's Brett Favre. But Rob, his senior year or junior year last year at USC, 26 touchdowns, great, 13 picks. And college, you know what I mean? And so it looks like he hasn't grown out of or matured from making poor decisions. And maybe that's just who he is. And that could cost him his job. But and then I'll say this, Rob, quickly. If I'm Miami, not Miami, if I'm Houston and I do a deal with Miami, I want Tua. Why wouldn't you want Tua, Rob?
I don't get.
He's actually been pretty good the last couple weeks.
Yeah, I don't know what the there's something that we don't know, Chris, because it just seems like teams don't want him. Like they're like.
Well, they were saying there might be like a 3-team deal, or he could go elsewhere. I think Denver was one team mentioned. There was another one, Washington, Denver or Washington. So I don't understand what Houston's thinking, Rob. Like, what you riding with Davis Mills the rest of
Chris,
the next
they
few
can't
years?
move the ball. It was embarrassing. I was at the game yesterday,
Right.
in Arizona, and I just they led the game 5-0, and that was about the ball game. That was about that's all you needed to
Right.
know. When
Right.
an NFL team's leading you 5-0 in the game, either you
Not
have a
gonna
terrible
lie.
offense. Or somebody hit a 3-run home run for you. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like
Right.
there's nothing
Right.
going on there. Because that's how
Exactly.
bad it was. They couldn't move the ball. I was like, this is an NFL team?
Yeah, look, Houston, if you do trade Deshaun Watson, get Tua. He's still on the rookie contract. Last game, Rob, they lost to Atlanta. Close one. He put them in position to win the game. They just
with
left
2
a little
minutes-
too much time on
They
the clock.
left 2
Yeah.
minutes on the clock, and Atlanta came back
Yep.
and
Kicked the field
and
goal.
won the
Game winner. But he threw for 291, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks. So he wasn't fantastic, but
Right.
I'll take that. Game before, Rob, 329 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick. So he's somebody I think you can work with, but we'll see. But speaking of quarterbacks, Rob, I told you earlier, I said, look, I'm feeling good about my MVP pick preseason of Tom Brady. He's not like, there are others in the race. I mean, obviously, Kyler Murray, Lamar's still in it. I took a step back this weekend, but, it's early. He's still alive, certainly. Matthew Stafford's there. Some are saying Dak. Derek Carr. If they keep winning, I mean, he's doing his thing. But Brady, Rob, 21 touchdowns, a league high, on pace for like 51, and only 3 interceptions. Leads the league in yards, 325 a game. He's doing his thing, and their schedule's so light, Rob. I don't know. There's really no reason to think he won't continue to put up these numbers. I think he could have had 6 touchdowns yesterday. He had 4 at halftime, and then they started running the football. He only threw it 8 times.
Well, that's
in the
just the
second
way,
half.
right? You're not when you got a big lead like that, there's no reason to throw the ball.
Right. He threw it down field one time to Godwin early in the 4th, his last possession. That Godwin got tackled at the 1. Could have been a TD, but wasn't. And then they ran it in. Or they kicked the field goal. So, but I think right now, Rob, he'd be the MVP for me.
I mean, the numbers so far, obviously there's 11 games to go. I don't know if somebody gets some other numbers and they start to look at the schedule, and if somebody had bigger wins and put up better numbers against better teams. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot
Right.
depending on – his numbers have to be so outrageous or so over the top where you would be like, he's clearly the winner, but I don't think it goes like that. And we've
Don't
seen
you
guys –
think he's going to have, and I know, really, if you're being objective as a voter, the narrative, you shouldn't fall for a narrative. I mean, you got to pick who's the best.
No,
But the narrative will be with him if he's, if they're 15, let's say they're 14-3, and he's got, maybe breaks the single season passing record in 17 games. It doesn't look like he's going to get 6
You'd have to
rings.
take a look, right? I mean, like I said, we'd have to take a look. I don't know, Chris. Is it somebody who has very comparable numbers? Maybe Brady got off to a great start and slows down, but still does well. You know what I mean? But he can't duplicate the first half.
Right.
Like, his numbers are
It's
so
going
off.
to be tough to keep this pace.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they're so off the charts that even though his numbers will be good, it'll look like he didn't play as well in the second half because his numbers are so good. And somebody else plays way better in the second half or better, and their team surges in the second. I'm just saying that's the only way.
I mean, look, it's far.
That's
from
the only
over.
way. Right.
Yeah, it's far from over. Like I mentioned, a handful of guys that are still alive. I mean, Kyler, they're undefeated. His numbers aren't nearly as good as Brady's, but still, they're undefeated.
But if they're 15-0 or whatever, and he has great numbers, maybe not Brady's numbers, but their team is in another thing, then it'll be hard for people to look at Kyler Murray and say, what a leap that this guy made, this year from last year. Look at what he did. He was a big part of the reason why, excuse me, and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's so hard so early. We remember last year we were picking people.
Russell Wilson looked like he might.
Yeah, Russell Wilson looked like he was like, let him cook, Chris. He was cooking, right?
Right.
Putting up crazy numbers. I wonder, Rob G, if you went back and you looked at where Russell Wilson was his first, Chris, 7 games,
about
and
8
Brady.
games, 7, 8 games.
Yeah, where he was. I'm just curious to where he was compared to, even though I think Brady's got a better shot to continue because of like you brought up.
Yeah, and
the schedule.
They're weapons. I mean,
Yeah, and the schedule.
Rob, I actually have that handy.
Do you?
I do.
Unbelievable.
Rob G, that's why he's our man.
That's right.
That's right.
Okay.
That's why you better not stop doing the interviews and stick around for a while, okay?
All right. Through the first 7 games of last season, Russell Wilson, 2,151 yards, 71% completion.
Wow.
26 touchdowns, 6 picks, 6-1 record. Then he trademarked "Let Russ Cook," and it was all downhill after that.
So where was that? So
Did
give
he
me
get
what
cocky?
a Brady.
Is that what you're saying?
Well, I
He
mean,
got too
as
cocky?
soon as he did that, I'm not going to say anything, but
No,
it did
right,
fall
right.
off a cliff.
Yep, he fell off a cliff. After that.
Tom Brady's having a good season too. I mean,
So give me like Brady.
This year? You talking about last year or this year?
you're talking about this year, right, Rob?
Tom Brady
Right.
is doing. It's
Yeah, no, but I'm
ridiculous
just
what he's
saying. I
doing
want to
right
look
now.
at the comparison. Just give me
Right.
like,
but he
each of
ain't
their
gonna
numbers.
fall. I can't see him falling.
No, I'm
off
just
like
trying to.
Wilson
I'm just
did.
saying. Like I'm just looking at the.
I know you're trying to come
All right,
up
so
with every little
on the
way
season-
that Brady wouldn't win it.
Both 6-1.
Okay.
67% completion, so a little lower than Russ. 2,275
So a
yards,
little more than Russ.
more. 21 touchdowns, 3 picks.
And Russ had 26 and 6.
Had 26 and 6.
That
Wow.
was crazy.
So
That is
they're
crazy.
basically
But
identical for
He's
for
not gonna
most
fall
things.
off like Russ did.
No, I'm
He-
not saying.
you
But
know, and he
what's
got so
crazy
many
is,
more
Chris,
weapons.
in that thing, and Rob G, correct me if I'm wrong. Russ with 26 and 6 and 71% completion didn't get one MVP vote.
Right.
Is that crazy?
Well, look,
He didn't get one.
you got to keep doing it. And he didn't deserve one.
No, he didn't.